absolute legend Stu from UAVfutures here, and today this is for you guys out there who don't want to break the bank but you do want to have a good FPV experience. What we're going to be looking at is this right here. It's from Darwin FPV. I'll put some pictures on the screen. It's the Tiny Ape, or the Tiny Ape Freestyle, depending on which version you get. There's also like the Baby Ape and stuff like that. I'll put a heap of links down below, but I got to say, this little thing right here, it's coming in at around $120. I'll put some pictures on the screen, and that is offering some great alternatives to some other more expensive drones out there. And this is the sort of drone you might want to pick up if you think, hey, is FPV going to be right for me? I don't want to spend tons of money. I still want to have a great FPV experience. So we're going to put it through its paces, rip it around, and I've got to give a shout out to people like Painless360 who said this might be their possible favorite 2.5-inch little quad. So first things first, I do want to mention, I get my trusty chopstick here, and mine is the freestyle version, which it has a thumb cam in here from RunCam. That's getting a bit confusing, say that 10 times quick. But this little bit on the top right here, that's the camera. I'll show you some DVR as well as some HD recording. So if you want to cruise around, have some fun, and get some pretty cool, decent quality recordings, you want to see how that camera goes as well. But the one with this camera is a little bit more expensive for this extra action camera tacked on. They'll put two different ones below. But the base version of this without the camera on the top is about, $120 or something like that. Check the links because they might have changed by the time I do this video. So let's stick it on the scales, dust them off because it's been a little while. Wait, there's a little more space dust on here. That's an old Simpsons quote for showing my age right there. All right, let's see. With the camera, it's coming in, it's in kilos, which does not help us at all. All right, here we go. Milliliters, grams. There we go. So with the camera on the top, it is 65 grams. And if I take the camera off, I simply just pop it out right there. It's coming in at 56 grams. So a very, very lightweight little drone. You can rip around, have some fun, and also it's not too scary if you're flying this thing around the park, or you should always stay away from people, but it's not going to be too intrusive or anything like that. But let's jump in and have a look at some of the components. Of course, it's called Freestyle because it's made just for ripping around, having some fun, and it's going to be perfect for my property here, flying it around the farm between a few trees, doing a few little tricks, and putting it hopefully putting some speed laps down as well. But starting at the outside in, we'll get this in shot in the roof cam. We've got some tri-blade, a little 2.5 gem fan props on the outside, nothing too special. Underneath that, we've got the powertrain, which is the 1103 8,000 kV, so should be spinning up, getting some pretty decent speeds, I'm hoping. We'll have to see, and you'll see that in the flight footage. Moving towards the middle, we do, and I want to put the durability of the motors through to the test as well, because I saw some review. I'll see if I can put a picture on the screen. They said they loved the quad. They bought 4 of them, but they had some issues with the motor. I don't know why you buy 4 of the same quad. To me, that seems a little bit crazy. However, I digress. Moving towards the middle, of course, we've just got our flight controller ESC stack. It's an F4 flight controller. It's rocking beta flight. It's got 15 amp ESCs. They're not 32-bit. They're just standard. I think they're just rocking D-shot at the moment. And then on the top, we've got our little VTX, which is hooked up to our, it's just, I don't know what you call it, like a little dipole antenna on the back right here. So no circular polarized or anything like that, but it should be more than enough for the sort of flying that I want to do. We've got the world's noisiest car driving past right there. A little XT30 connector. Of course, you get a little battery strap. I'm not a fan of this style of battery strap. It's not my favorite. I feel like you can't really ratchet this one down. You've got some little zip ties, antenna ends, all that sort of stuff, a few little nuts and bolts that come with it. Those optional extras, that's what I'm trying to say. They're pretty boring. That's not the part that I'm excited about. I guess from a design point of view, I love how this camera goes on the top. It seems like a very sturdy little quad. Flipping it over, you can see we've got some braces on the front. So I do think that this frame is going to hold up better than most toothpicks. And it's also not too heavy. I don't think the weight of these carbon struts on the front is going to sort of really provide any significant drawbacks. It's only going to offer some positive strength. We've also got some nice camera protection, so you can see with my chopstick on the front there. I'm not scratching my lens, so I think you should be able to protect your components pretty well. I really would like to test the motors, like that person said in the review that they busted one of theirs, so I put those to its paces and some crashes, and you'll see that as well. And then, I guess the quality of the thing, it looks pretty decent. The soldering joints were nice. I did have to solder in my own camera cable that comes, if you get the freestyle version, that comes with the run cam, thumb cam, for some fun cam. Anyway, I'm getting too carried away, but yeah, that was very easy. I didn't even have to take it apart. There is some very small little connections you can solder onto right there, but they I wouldn't suggest it. So if you're somebody like old man Russ out there who doesn't enjoy soldering at the best of times, if you're going to be soldering on and putting the thumb cam adapter, so this thing doesn't need a battery, it just runs off the battery that you power your quad. It does have some tiny little pads there, but I didn't find it tricky, but if I would feel very intimidating if I was new to soldering, so put it that way. And then I guess the pros and the cons of the things. It's light, it carries an action cam. I'm hoping that it's going to be flying really well. I don't want to comment on the flight performance just yet. It's a tidy little package, it looks pretty strong. The cons, of course, I'd say it's not made to carry a GoPro or anything like that, but we've got the run cam, fun cam, thumb cam. I'm enjoying saying that too much. I think it should be pretty fun, and also a big plus, the price. I mean, $120 if you look at $120 if you look at the website on Darwin FPV. So I'm hoping this thing is going to pack a lot of punch, a lot of fun value for FPV. That's what I'm excited about. So let's do it. Let's go rip it around and have some fun with the tiny ape, not to be confused with the baby ape. And also I'll show you the DVR footage on what you can expect, and the run cam, thumb cam footage as well. So let's go have some fun in 3, and then we'll come back, wrap it up, and see if you should get it. Is it the right drone for you? Is it a great beginner entry drone? Is it a drone that people just want to have fun with, or is it a bit of a letdown? So we're going to go test all that now. Let's jump out and have a fly around in 3, 2, 1. Can you believe it, Radio? Here we are outside, and the sun is actually shining for the first time in a long time. I'm going to get you some footage of this. I've been waiting for the rain to stop. But I'm not too sure how close we're going to be going to the ground, because like you can see in the chickens behind us, it is absolutely just mud everywhere in this joint. Like, so when you're walking around, I got my boots on, there's a lot of water, a lot of mud. So we're going to have some fun with this, but praying that we don't drop it in any puddles. You can see even next to the shed, there's just pools of water everywhere. It is absolutely drenched. We've had about 2 solid weeks of rain. So anyway, let's rip this around. The sun is finally out, and we'll find out how this little thing goes, and is it good for the price of about 120 bucks. So let's do it and show you some footage. Radio, here we go. We've got the DVR top right hand side, and the main footage is the run cam, thumb cam, but we're going to see a few different flights here because this is the very first flight, and I quickly realized that based on the current camera angle, this thing had way too much power. So I give it a little blip, and yep, I can't see anything because we're staring at the ground. So I had to bring it in for a landing and adjust the camera angle, and you'll see how much better this thing looks in the air. So let's cut to that. And here we go. Now I've adjusted the camera angle, and you can see it is flying much nicer. We can see where we're going. Plenty of pizzazz, plenty of punch cruising this thing around. You got to remember, it's just a 2.5. I've already done a bunch of packs on this thing by now, and this is where I'm feeling much more confident with it, flying around on Express LRS, cruising over Farmer Joe's Dam right there. Big shout out to him. And normally I wouldn't fly over here, I guess, and I don't recommend people to do that, but I had no issues, no worries, and a lot of confidence cruising this thing around. So let's put it through its paces, sort of around the property right here. You can see for such a tiny quad, it does have a decent amount of speed. You could rip it around, fly it through some gates and that sort of stuff, as well as do some freestyle with it. So overall, I've got to say, big hats off to Darwin FPV for possibly one of the best toothpicks I've ever flown. And you've got to remember, it's carrying an action camera on top of that. So if you take the action camera off, you get even faster speeds, even longer flight times, I should say, and you're going to have an absolute ball. And for the price, which is like, what, 120 bucks or something at the time of this recording, there should be some pictures and links down below as well. It's definitely a very, very high-scoring drone on the value front. So it feels good on the sticks, no oscillations, no wobbles, very easy to set up, a great DVR picture as well, and I think a lot of people
are going to have fun flying this thing around, especially when drones out there are getting usually more expensive as the hobby goes on. It's nice to see a bit of a value one there. But let's cut back to the studio and wrap this review up. Here's me trying to land. Perfect.
Radio, so there it is. There's my flight footage of the Tiny Ape, and I gotta say, I am very, very impressed. Dare I say, the best toothpick I have flown all year. What I love about it, it just works, and it feels great on the sticks. Like I was using my Radio Master Zorro, cruising around Express, LRS, didn't get any dropouts or anything like that. You can see I even felt confident enough to take it out over the dam, cruise around some water right there. I did have some minor gripes with it though, not in terms of the flight performance, but if I get my chopstick, I don't even need my chopstick, but basically, I crashed it a few times and into some trees, not so much into the ground, and the only thing that seemed to break was the little mount for the run cam thumb cam. So that broke at the top right here, so I think I'm going to need to come up with a new solution for that. And also, if you're flying around with the more expensive version that has the camera on the top, it looks great, you can see from that footage, but I really had to mount my battery underneath. For the 3S that I'm rocking, a 450, I felt like that was a good amount of flight time, a good amount of power as well. There is absolutely no way that it's going to fit on the top with the camera as well. So you'd probably get better flight times if you flew without the camera, and it would probably fit a little bit nicer as well. But for me, I had to take it out and mount it on the bottom using a rubber band right there. So all in all, look, an absolutely fantastic quad. If you're looking to get into FPV, you can see a lot of other quads out there and you think, gee, that's a little bit more expensive. Of course, this is only rocking analog. It's not a digital quad or anything like that, although I'm sure you could put some HD0 in here and still get some similar performance. But yeah, overall, it's a great quad. It works. It's fantastic value. I didn't have any issues with it. Super easy to set up. One thing though, in the Betaflight configurator, the arm switch was on the same part as angle mode. So it is really aimed at beginners. I had to go in there and turn that off because there was no way to get it into acro mode without sort of disabling that. So that's something you need to do. Not very tricky at all whatsoever. Would I get the one with the run cam, thumb cam? That's up to you. Do you want to record some cool videos? Is making videos important to you, or you just want to experience flying around having some FPV? Because I think the run cam, thumb cam looks pretty cool. I was very happy with the footage. You would have seen it. You can judge for yourself. Or if you just want to cruise around, it's a lot cheaper to get it without it. So I think it's $120, and the camera's probably about the same price as the drone itself. So all in all, look, no matter which version you get, I'm very happy to cruise this thing around, have some fun. And I can imagine getting a bunch of mates together, cruising around a park. You don't need a huge area, but it's got more than enough pop to do little tricks and freestyle, maybe even have some little micro races with your mates. And it's not going to upset the Sharons, or what is it, the Karens. It's not going to upset the Karens of the world at the park or anything too much, because look, it's so small and it's not obnoxious. It's not as loud as those big 5 or 6 inch monsters race drones we've got out there. This, it's not going to upset anybody. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up. Drop your comments down below and let me know, would you pick this as one of your first beginner drones? If you could go back in time, is this something that you would want? Do you want something a little bit bigger? What do you think about the size? 2.5? Because look, if I started on something like this would have propelled me, I think, a lot quicker into enjoying FPV. Versus some of these bigger drones out there, they're a bit trickier for a beginner. Something like this, it's not nearly as intimidating for both the public and also the pilot. Anyway, subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying.